Catskill Mountains. And I'm so excited to be here and be able to share stories and songs with all of you. So I'm going to start out by we're going to step back and, oh, I know how we'll begin. If you are a dreamer, come in. If you are a dreamer, a wisher, a liar, a hoper, a prayer, a magic bean buyer, if you are a pretender, come sit by my fire, for we have some flax golden tales to spin. Come in. Come in to the wondrous world of story, where anything magic can be, where you and me and he and she can travel across the sea and up into the sky and to the mountaintops. On the wings of words we will fly, making glorious story stops. Folk, fairy, modern, myth, true and tall, I love so many of them all. I wonder which ones will speak to you. Allo, allo, allo. Try saying allo like that. Allo. Good. Sac passé. Try saying that too. Sac passé. Nice. Noix poulet. Noix poulet. Try saying that. Noix poulet. Noix poulet. Well, I'm going to start out by telling you a story where people speak like that. In Haiti. In Haiti. Haiti is a teeny tiny country not too far south of the United States, where people don't speak English as we do. And they don't speak Spanish either, but they do speak a type of French called Haitian Creole. And if you were walking down the road, you want to walk? If you were walking, that's right, just like that. If you were walking down the road and happened to run into a friend, you might say, allo. Now, what does allo mean? I bet you can guess. Yeah, allo means hello. Sac passé? Sac passé means how's it going? And noix poulet means it's going okay. It's going all right. Well, this is a story about two very, wait, hold on. How many berries was that? Very, 5 berries? Best of friends. Oh, they love to spend all their time together. Now, that was in the days when they could do such things, but they haven't been able to see each other in a long, long time. But this story comes from when they could regularly get together. And when they did, back in those good old days when we could do such things, when they did, every morning, one friend, whose name was Tortue. Try saying that word, Tortue. Did you try it? How did it work? Tortue. Now, Tortue is Creole, Haitian Creole for turtle. And the other friend's name was Pigeon. Try saying that, Pigeon. So Tortue and Pigeon. And every morning, Tortue would race over to Pigeon's house as fast as he could. Just like this. Ready? He's a turtle, so, he doesn't go all that fast. And when he got there, the two of them would have an enormous breakfast. They would have, fresh papaya and fresh mango. And they would have bananas, and they would have coconuts. If they could break into it, they would break into the coconut and suck out the juice. Oh, so good, so good. Yum, 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 yum. And sometimes they would have, I don't know, what did you guys have for breakfast today? Think about what did you have? Maybe they had some of that too. Cereal, bagels, waffles, pancakes. bacon, all of it. Oh, and when they were done with a breakfast like that, you know what their bellies looked like? Yeah. Oh, their bellies looked like they had 3 bowling balls inside. Oh, but that didn't slow them down, not for 1 second. Instead, they picked up their fishing rods and headed on down to their favorite fishing hole where they cast their line. Ready? Who's going to cast their line with me? Just like that. And they reeled in great big fish all day long. Oh, that's what they did. And after they had a good bunch of fish, they took those fish and they made a nice big fire. Tortue and Pigeon did a nice big fire. And when they had a nice bed of coals, they grilled those fish to perfection. And then they gobbled up every last tasty morsel. Oh, so good, so good, so good, so good. And then, oh, bellies full again. Oh, they leaned back. Oh, bellies all full. They leaned back against their favorite chocolate pudding fruit tree. Yep. What? You probably think I'm making that up, don't you? Chocolate pudding fruit tree. Who ever heard of such a thing? Have you ever heard of a chocolate pudding fruit tree? Well, guess what? I know I'm a storyteller, and sometimes we storytellers make things up, but they really, truly did do it. They really, truly do exist, the chocolate pudding fruit trees. It's the chocolate pudding fruit. It looks kind of like an avocado, like a really big avocado, but when you cut into it, you know an avocado? You know what those look like, right? You cut into them and they're green inside. Well, this chocolate pudding fruit, when you cut into it, it's not green, but it's brown. And it looks kind of stringy, but you give it a stir and it's nice and creamy and yummy. Doesn't taste like chocolate, but it feels like chocolate pudding in your mouth. And you add a little flavor to it and it's delicious. Well, anyway, so they would sit back beneath that chocolate pudding fruit tree, gaze up at the stars in the sky, and tell each other stories and laugh and laugh and laugh. But this one night, Tortue was not laughing. Not at all. He was sitting there like this. And Pigeon said, Tortue, what is the matter, friend? Why are you crying like, oh, Pigeon. I'm so sad. I'm so sad because tomorrow you go fly away back up north to New York City and leave me all alone. Now, Pigeon, she said, Tortue, friend of mine, it's true. Tomorrow I have to fly back north to New York just as I do every year. But guess what? I always come back, don't I? The following season, I always come back and we get to go back to doing all those things we do together, fishing and hanging out by the fire. Oh, I know, but I'm so sad when you go away. Nobody here to tell stories to me. Nobody here to go fish with me. And Pigeon, she said, buddy, calm down. Get a grip. It's okay. Maybe you can come with me. Tortue looked at her. Come with you? How can I do that? I have no wings. No can fly in the sky like Pigeon. And she said, no. I have an idea. Check this out. Tomorrow, when it's time for me and all the other pigeons and all the other oiseau is bird in Haitian Creole. When it's time for me and all the other oiseaux to fly back north to New York, what I will do is I will get a stick, a long, strong, stout stick, and I will put one end in my mouth and you put the other end in yours, and I'll flap my wings extra hard and we'll fly away together up to New York City. What do you think? What do you think? Tortue, no, crazy, no can do crazy, no, not going to work, And she said, you never know until you give it a shot. You got to try and see what happens. And so he agreed. He said, okay, I will try. We see what happens. And okay, maybe I'll hold on to the stick. But she said, but Tortue, one very important thing I must tell you. The whole time that we are flying, the whole time that you're holding on to that stick, you cannot talk. Because if you talk while holding on to that stick, what's going to happen? That's right. He would fall from the sky if he opens his mouth while holding onto the stick with his mouth. And so Tortue said, okay, I will be very quiet. When you get that long, strong, stout stick, I will hold on tight with my mouth. I will not talk. I will be so good. I will zip it up, lock it, throw away the key. Okay, good. And she said, good. Well, so the next day, sure enough, Pigeon, when she and all the other oiseaux were getting ready to go to fly north to New York, she did indeed find a long, strong, stout stick. And she put one end in her mouth, Tortue put the other end in his, and she began to flap her wings. Ready? You guys can try it too in your home. She flapped. She flapped. She flapped and flapped. No luck. She didn't budge 1 inch. So she took a deep breath. Ready? You take a deep breath too. And she tried to flap harder. Ready? Here we go. No. She didn't budge even a centimeter. Well, so she took another even deeper breath and tried to flap harder and faster. You ready? Here we go. And the next thing you knew, why, there she was, flying up in the sky. Oh, bye, with Turtle right beside her, holding on to the other end of that stick. He had never even been off the ground before. He was so terrified. But then he got used to the feeling of the wind on his face, and oh, it was so nice. Oh, he's like, yeah, this is good. Not really saying it, just thinking it. And then, oh, something so neat. Has any of you kids ever been in an airplane before? If you've been in an airplane, I don't know if you managed to get the window seat where you could look out, and if you were still close enough to the ground that you could still see people on the ground and cars and buildings and stuff. Well, Tortue was just high up enough in the sky that he could have that view from above, but still close enough that he could see everybody down on the ground. He thought, oh, all the people, they looked to him like ants. Is that what you thought when you were in an airplane, right? You looked down, if you could see people, that they looked like ants. That's what he thought. He thought it was the funniest thing. All the people, all the animals running around like little ants. And he began to laugh, holding tightly to that stick, though, the whole time like this. And then they were flying out over the shore. And Tortue looked down, because Haiti, I don't know if I mentioned this fact, but Haiti, that teeny tiny country not too far south of the United States, is on an island. It's on a little island called Hispaniola. And so it's surrounded on many sides by water. And so when they got to the shore, he looked down, and below he saw all of the other animals, all of them waving goodbye to all the pigeon and all the other oiseaux flying back north to New York City, all shouting, bye bye! Oh, bon voyage! Goodbye, pigeon! Have a nice flight! Hey, send us a postcard of the Brooklyn Bridge! Bye bye! And then he heard, bye, doctor! Talk, talk, Tortue? Is that Tortue up there in the sky with the pigeon? No. Where? No. What? It was. They on the ground, they couldn't believe their eyes. And Tortue up there, he couldn't believe his ears. They were calling out his name, and oh, that made him feel so proud. That in that moment, he just couldn't help himself. He looked down and waved to them all, gave them the thumbs up, and then he called down to them the one word that he had learned to say in English, bye-bye! Uh-oh. Splash! Lucky was he. He landed in the sea, not on land where he would have gone splat. But there in the water, Tortue discovered something magnificent. Why, he had completely forgotten about the fact that he had flippers. Why, his legs were more like flippers than legs for walking on the ground. He was a sea turtle after all, a sea turtle. So in the water is where he should have been all along. And in the water there, he saw other turtles, turtle cousins, turtle family members of all sorts. And it wasn't long before he completely forgot about wanting to fly up north to New York with Pigeon. And you know, Pigeon, she kept going because that's what she was supposed to do with all the other oiseaux, fly back to New York. And she knew that she and her best friend would get back to seeing each other again, just kind of like all of us right now, right? We don't get to be with all of our best friends. We're just home with our family doing our thing, but it's okay. We know that someday we will get back to hanging out with our friends again, just like Tortue and Pigeon will have the chance to do. And when they do, oh boy, it is going to be magnificent. And now, I don't know if you kids ever had the chance to go south. It doesn't have to be to Haiti. Doesn't even have to be as far as Florida. It could be the Carolinas. When that time comes around again where we can all travel, and if you go south and you look in the water and see a turtle, keep a lookout, because if he's got a big hunk of a long, strong, stout stick hanging out of his mouth, it just might be the very turtle from our story. And I tell you what, where you go into the city, you are certainly going to find not just Pigeon, but all of her cousins there. And that's the truth. Thank you. All right, now that story is one that I have loved and that I have told for many, many years, 20 years at least now. And it's one that I got out of a book that I found at my local library. It came from a book called The Magic Orange Tree and Other Haitian Folktales. Now, I don't know about you kids, but I've been sad these last couple of months with my library not being open, me not being able to go into it. It's just starting to open up a little bit where we are. I don't know about where you guys are, but I do appreciate that the librarians are still there making things happen. And why I called the other day and told my librarian, I need a book to read. And she said, I'll get some books together for you so that I could go pick them up outside, which I thought was pretty cool. But that story, as I was saying, came out of a book from my local library, The Magic Orange Tree and Other Haitian Folktales by Diane Bolkestein. And a neat thing about stories that you get from books is while you're home, you've got this time at home, you find a story in a book and you like it, you can think of how to tell it in your own words. That's what I did with that story. Why, on the page in the book, it only takes up about a page, not much more than that. But it has grown and grown and grown as I have told it. So I'm going to suggest that you folks, you families, think about doing something like that this summer. You don't have to be a professional storyteller. You just have to be somebody who likes to think about things and likes to have fun experimenting and playing with things and see how you can just make the story come alive. Doesn't that sound like fun? Oh, yeah. Now, should we have another story right now? We could have another story. We could have a little song. We could have something to get our bodies moving. That's what we're going to do. All right, I have a fun little game. I'm going to drink a little water first. And then I am going to ask you to join me in a little bit of exercise. Can everybody see this? What I have here? I'm going to move my head so that you can see nice and clearly. And then the background, that's the top of my guitar. I will be using that at some point. What do I have here? I have a finger and a thumb. Look at that. A little bit of nail polish from when my daughter painted my nails last week. One finger, one thumb. Can we move them together like that? One finger, one thumb, keep moving. Like that, yeah. One finger, one thumb, keep moving. One finger, one thumb, keep moving. And we'll all feel happy today. Hooray! That's how we begin. Okay, you got that? Let's try it again. One finger, one thumb, keep moving. One finger, one thumb, keep moving. One finger, one thumb, keep moving. And we'll all feel happy today. Hooray! Good. Now, we're going to add a little more. One finger, one thumb, one hand, keep moving. That's right. One finger, one thumb, one hand, keep moving. One finger, one thumb, one hand, keep moving. And we'll all feel happy today. Hooray! Oh, one finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands. Can you do that? You're moving. One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, keep moving. One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, keep moving. And we'll all feel happy today. Hooray! One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, keep moving. Can you do that? Am I going to look totally silly on your screen by the time this is all done? If I don't already. One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, keep moving. One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, keep moving. And we'll all feel happy today. Hooray! Ready? One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, two arms, keep moving. Ha! One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, two arms, keep moving. One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, two arms, keep moving. And we'll all feel happy today. Hooray! Ready? One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, two arms, one leg, keep moving. You can't see it, but I'm moving it. Well, I'll move my foot. One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, two arms, one leg, keep moving. One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, two arms, one leg, keep moving. And we'll all feel happy today. Hooray! All right, I'm going to move this back so you can see a little more that I'm actually doing it with my full body here. Ready? One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, two arms, one leg, two legs, keep moving. One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, two arms, one leg, two legs, keep moving. One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, two arms, one leg, two legs, keep moving. And we'll all feel happy today. Hooray! One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, two arms, one leg, two legs. Stand up! Sit down. Keep moving. One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, two arms, one leg, two legs. Stand up. Sit down. Keep moving. One finger, one thumb, one hand, two hands, one arm, two arms, one leg, two legs. Stand up. Sit down. Keep moving. And we'll all feel happy today. Hooray. Nice job. I'm sure you all did a wonderful job of that. Do you need to take a breath now? Okay, well, that's a good way to generate a little heat on a hot summer day, huh? Woo! Okay, so speaking of a hot summer day, we're going to travel across the ocean now. Let's see, what kind of a vessel shall we travel in? A sailboat? If you could travel across the ocean in a boat, what kind of a boat would it be? Or would it even be a boat? Would it be a magic carpet? Would you go in a bottle? What do you think? Myself, I think I would like to travel on a sailboat. That's how I would like to go. Sail on a boat across the sea. Not a big motorboat, not a cruise ship, not a tanker, but a sailboat. But one that's big enough, because sometimes those waves out on the ocean, my goodness, they get so tall. They can get 40 feet tall. That's scary. Well, we're going to sail across the ocean however we go. And we're going to sail across from North America to Europe. See, this is the beauty of this. We can travel even during this crazy time when nobody can really physically travel from place to place so much. We can travel in our imaginations. So we're going to travel across the ocean to Europe, to northeastern Europe. And we're going to go to a little teeny tiny village where the winters are long, real long, super long, like so long that people even start to forget that spring and summer might ever come. And I'm going to tell you a story that's another one that I got from a book. Now, this book is one that I'm going to guess most of you have heard of before because it won the Caldecott Medal. Do you guys know what that is? Everybody know? In case you don't know, I'll tell you. I bet most of you do, though. The Caldecott Medal is a really neat award that's given out to a book, a picture book, that has fabulous illustrations. Now, let me take a look. I have a book here. It's not a Caldecott one, but it's a great one. This book. 3 Days on a River in a Red Canoe, written by and illustrated by Vera B. Williams. Vera B. Williams. It's a great story about going paddling on a river. Thank you for coming. It's so nice to see you guys. Okay, go have a good lunch, folks. And I hope we get to hang out and share some stories and songs again some other time, those of you who have to leave. Okay, so this is a good book. Anyway, but the Caldecott is a prize given to books that have wonderful illustrations. And this book had that as well. Now, of course, Sims Tabak is the illustrator. And the actual title of this one is going to fail me right now. So I'm going to maybe count on Angela if you can find Sims Tabak. It was the overcoat. About the man who Joseph and his overcoat or something like that. But this is a story that has been around for many, many years. Actually, it comes originally from a song, an old Yiddish folk song. And so this story is about a fellow, the way I tell it, about a fellow named Solomon who lived in a little village where people didn't have much money, but they did have their hands and their ability to grow things and make things. And Solomon, what he did is he was a tailor. He could sew, and Joseph had a little overcoat. Thank you. And Solomon would sail. He would sew. Maybe he sailed too, but he would sew and sew and sew, and he would make clothes for all the people in the village. Some people, lots of them, could make their own, but he would make things as well. And so, but even those who he made things for didn't have much money to pay him, so he still didn't make much money. Instead, they would trade him eggs or chickens for the things that he would make for them. Now, the thing that Solomon wanted more than anything else was to make for himself a nice, long, hooded overcoat so that during those long winter months, he could stay warm, a nice hooded overcoat with big buttons all the way down the front. And eventually, after years and years and years of saving bits and pieces of material from this job and that job, he had enough to make himself that overcoat. And also he even had some nice wool that somebody had given him from a sheep that they had sheared. And so he had all of this and he made this coat. And he wore that coat day after day after day, year after year after year. He wore it until it was all worn out. And we can kind of sing that together. Day after day after day, year after year after year, day after day after day, year after year after year. He wore it until it was all worn out. Or so he thought. But then he took a closer look at that coat. He said, if I cut here and trim there and do this and do that, I can make myself from this coat, I could trim it down to a nice jacket. A jacket that I can wear not just in the winter, but during the other seasons as well, even in the summer, because summer often is cold at night. So he thought he would do that. He snipped and he snipped and he snipped. And he sewed and he sewed and he sewed. He snipped and snipped and snipped and sewed and sewed and sewed. And you can do that with me too. He snipped and snipped and snipped and sewed and sewed and sewed. He snipped and snipped and snipped and sewed and sewed and sewed. And then he had a jacket that he wore in the spring, in the autumn, on warm days in the winter, and on cold nights in the summer. He wore it day after day after day, year after year after year, day after day after day, year after year after year. He wore it until it was all worn out. Or so he thought. But then he took a closer look at that coat, at that jacket, and he said, I think there's just enough here, just enough left to make a vest. A vest. Ooh, I'll look so handsome in a vest. And so he did. He snipped and he snipped and he snipped, and he sewed and he sewed and he sewed. He snipped and snipped and snipped, and sewed and sewed and sewed. And in time, he had a very sharp-looking vest that he could wear as he went for strolls in the village park, in the plaza on a summer night, and tip his hat at the ladies. He wore it day after day after day, year after year after year, day after day after day, year after year after year. He wore it until it was all worn out. Or so he thought. But then Solomon took a closer look at that vest and he said, I think there's just enough here that I could make a tie. A tie. So he did. He made a tie. Not that he ever had to get dressed up when he went anywhere, but, he thought a tie might look fancy. And so he snipped and snipped and snipped and sewed and sewed and sewed. He snipped and snipped and snipped and sewed and sewed and sewed. And eventually he had that tie which he could wear day after day after day, year after year after year, day after day after day, year after year after year. He wore it until it was all worn out. Or so he thought. But he took a closer look at that tie and he said, this tie, I think there's just enough left for me to make a button, a nice big button that I could put on the next coat that I make for myself. That's it. So he snipped and snipped and snipped and sewed and sewed and sewed, snipped and snipped and snipped and sewed and sewed and sewed until he had a nice big button, which he did put on a coat that he wore day after day after day, year after year after year, day after day after day, year after year after year. He wore it until it was all worn out. Or so he thought. But then he took a closer look and he saw there was just enough left to make a story. And that is the story that I have shared with you. Thank you. Now, you know what? I think it's time for us to have a little bit of a song. I like songs, and I have this guitar that's been sitting here waiting. I almost hear it calling to me. When are you going to play? I'm going to do it right now. And I feel like there was something else I had here to share with you folks. Where did I leave it? Did I leave it? I don't know where I left it. Oh well. You know, oh, I see it. It's over there. It's in a jar. Would you go get that for me? That jar? That mason jar that's on top of the wood stove there? It's summertime, so we don't need our wood stove on. Conveniently, my daughter is walking through, so I asked her to bring this to me. Now, this is a jar of something beautiful and magnificent. I don't know if you can tell what this is. It's something that I just got out of my garden a little earlier this morning. It is compost. This is compost that was in my garden. And in this compost, oh my goodness, maybe my daughter could go get a plate or a bowl for me. Would you go do that? Would you go do that for me? So that I can spill this out without making a mess all over my living room floor. Not that I mind anyway. Ooh, there's good stuff in here. Because hiding down here in this compost that came from my garden, I know there's a bunch of worms. Now, I don't know about you people, but I like to grow a lot of things in my garden, a lot of vegetables. Oh, here we go. My lovely assistant has brought me a bowl. Thank you very much. And, ooh, let's see. Oh, there's a worm. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Great, big, beautiful. It's not that big, but it's a good size, and it's wriggling. A worm from my compost pile. So this is what gets me excited, is worms in my compost. And the plant's growing so well, and it's thanks to those worms in the compost that it does. I love worms because they take my food scraps. That's what this is, this compost. There are little bits of eggshell still in here. There are seeds. There's little bits of like squash skin, that kind of stuff. Banana peels, coffee grounds, all that good stuff. And I put it outside in my big compost bin, and the worms and the bacteria just break it down into this beautiful, delicious soil that my plants then grow in, which I think is pretty magical. So I'm going to sing a little song for you right now about that, about these favorite things of mine that are out in my garden. Down in the dirt, they are working so hard, tunneling around in your own backyard, just hiding underground where they can't be found. Those, what are they? They're worms, worms, wonderful worms. Those worms, worms, wiggly worms. Those worms help plants in a special way, making good soil every day, just munching up dirt, and they never do stop. Those worms, worms, wonderful worms. Those worms, worms, wiggly worms. No teeth, no ears, no eyes, no clothes, no feet, no bones, not even a nose, but they've got a mouth and they chew and chew, 'cause that's what those worms are supposed to do. Those worms, worms, wonderful worms. Those worms, worms, wiggly worms. And I don't know about you, but when I sing the song, I like to kind of wiggle on the wiggly worms part. Those worms, worms, wonderful worms. Those worms, worms, wiggly worms. If you have enough room where you are, you could even do the worm. So when you dig in the dirt and you happen to see one of those worms, just let it be. Thank it for the work that it does each day. We can all shout thank you right now to those worms. I think if you shout loudly enough, they just might hear, thank you, worms! And sing this song as they wriggle away. Those worms, worms, wonderful worms. you so much. That is one of my favorite songs to sing. It's a great one. But actually, now that I say that, I'm just reminded of another song that I love. Now, I know so far we've traveled to Haiti, we traveled to Europe, we didn't make it to Africa. We could possibly get there, but I'm feeling like some songs are more what we need right now. And it being summer and things really starting to just take off in the garden, I can't help but think about these sorts of things. Especially because on my mountain where I live right now, there are a lot of wild strawberries. Wild strawberries. Do you get those where you are? They're really tiny, the wild ones. They are so teeny tiny, like they're smaller than my pinky nail, which is pretty small. But they are packed with more flavor than a lot of those strawberries that you can buy at the grocery store. They're magnificent. And the thing about them is when you go out and look for them in your lawn or wherever you may be, you look and you see a little flash of red and you think, oh, there's one. And then it's like, it wasn't really. It's just a little red leaf. But then when you don't think there's one there, all of a sudden, strawberry picking, strawberry picking, strawberry picking, strawberry picking. Now that's the easy part to join in on. It's just strawberry picking over and over. You want to try that? Strawberry picking, strawberry picking, yeah. Strawberry picking, strawberry picking. And now here's a little trickier part to sing, but it comes as part of the refrain. So it'll come around a couple of times. It goes like this. When you think you see some, that's when there are none. When you think there are none, that's when you see some. Try that. When you think you see some, that's when there are none. When you think there are none, that's when you see some. Oh yeah, just like that. I was walking one day with no real reason. I had forgotten it was strawberry season. Through the honeysuckle, clover, and the butterflies, all of a sudden there they were before my very eyes. Strawberry picking, strawberry picking, strawberry picking, strawberry picking, yeah. When you think you see some, that's when there are none. When you think there are none, that's when you see some. Well, you stoop one way and you stoop the other. Don't step back on your little baby brother. Now watch your big boots in the strawberry bed, and don't pick the little ones that aren't quite red. Strawberry picking, strawberry picking, strawberry picking, strawberry picking. Oh, when you think you see some, that's when there are none. When you think there are none, that's when you see some. Oh yeah, it's so true. Well, the wild strawberries, they're so wonderful to eat. The sun shines down, it makes them sweet. I can see you've been sneaking through your strawberry bed, 'cause the mouth and your fingers and your ears are red. Strawberry picking, strawberry picking, strawberry picking, strawberry picking. Yes, when you think you see some, that's when there are none. When you think there are none, that's when you find some. It's true. I love them strawberries, don't you? So many things you can do. My goodness, can you think of what would you do with strawberries? Like if you had a great big mess of them right now, what would you do? Would you make a strawberry pie? My oh my. Maybe you would make a strawberry smoothie. Oh, Oh, if you did, I hope you would share some with me. Strawberry sundae? Ooh, that would be nice. What about a strawberry Monday? Ever heard of any such a thing? I don't know. Love strawberries, I do. Alrighty. So let's see. I think we have time for one more little story. It's going to be one from right here, from right in these mountains where I live, the Catskill Mountains. And we have animals here that are not very different from animals that you have in New Jersey. Though we might see our wild animals more readily than you do where you are, but yours are still there. They're out there. And what we have, oh, I bet you have wild turkeys. You ever see wild turkeys? I'm sure that there are raccoons that make themselves known from time to time, right? Especially if they get into your garbage. Don't know so much about porcupines. I don't know. Maybe you guys encounter them where you are? What about coyotes? Do you ever encounter them? Wolves? I'm going to guess probably not so much. Well, I'm going to tell you a story that starts with a dog. A dog. A chocolate Labrador dog. Do you have a dog? Oh, well, Chocolate Lab, he lived in a place that was in town, but on the edge of town. It was a kind of big town, but not too big. And so right nearby, right past his yard actually, there were lots and lots and lots of woods. And he could go running in those woods, which he pretty much almost never did. No, Chocolate Lab spent most of his days out in the backyard, maybe catching frisbees, sticks, rocks, wading in the stream when he got the chance to do that. And at night, he would curl up on the braid rug right beside the fire and have those doggy dreams. Now, I don't know what he would be dreaming of. Maybe chasing after something, maybe finding a really big bone. I don't know what. But one night he had a dream about something wild. Why, Chocolate Lab he woke up with this feeling of, I need to go find the wild. Now you see, dogs, all the dogs that we have these days, they are descended from wolves. That's right, long ago. Their great grandparents were wolves. Some even more recently than that. And so they were used to more wild ways of being. But the dogs have, since they came to live with us, not so much. Well, so this Chocolate Lab, he woke up and said, I gotta go find that wild thing that's missing from my life. So he picked himself up off of his braid rug, and with his big, wet, sloppy tongue hanging out, you ever have a dog like that with a big, wet, sloppy tongue? He made his way outside. So he started through the woods. He went out through the yard, past the gate, into the actual woods. And he kept going and going until he came upon a wild turkey. A wild turkey. And Wild Turkey went, that's the sound the wild turkey makes. Wild Turkey said, what are you doing out here, Chocolate Lab? And Chocolate Lab said, oh, I'm looking for something. What are you looking for? Do you lose something? No, I'm looking for something wild. Well, I guess I did kind of lose it. Yeah, long ago. Yeah, what? And Wild Turkey said, well, I'm Wild Turkey after all. Maybe you're looking for me. And Chocolate Lab looked at Turkey and said, no, I don't think so. And Wild Turkey, being a very gracious host, said, oh, well, come along. I'm just about to have some supper. I've got some acorns here. Would you like some? And Chocolate Lab wasn't so sure about that. But Chocolate Lab said, all right, I'll try some, having learned to be polite as a guest. And so Wild Turkey shared, and Chocolate Lab went, and you know, acorns, they're kind of bitter. And Chocolate was like, ugh, and trying to be subtle, but not, spat them out and said, oh, thank you, Wild Turkey. I really appreciate your generosity and your kindness, but I don't know that you're what I'm looking for. I'm going to keep going. Thanks. Have a good day. And Chocolate Lab kept on going with that big, wet, sloppy tongue hanging out back through the woods until came upon a porcupine. Now, I don't know if you know about porcupines, but if dogs get too close to porcupines, they could end up with a snout full of really spiky, you know what those things are called? They're called quills. Quills in the schnoz, right there. Oh, that would hurt. And oh, they're painful to get pulled out. Well, anyway, Chocolate Lab just knew instinctively, don't get too close to that porcupine. And Porcupine said, what are you doing out here in the woods all by yourself? Porcupine's very cool, just kind of hanging out, just kicking back. And Chocolate Lab said, well, I'm looking for something wild that's missing from my life. And Porcupine said, well, I'm a wild creature. I live out here in the woods. Maybe you're looking, maybe I can help you. Why don't you come join me? I'm about to have supper. And so, not wanting to be rude, Chocolate Lab joined Porcupine. Now, Porcupine went over to a tree and she began to gnaw on the bark. Can you do that just like that? And Chocolate Lab tried it. Yeah, it wasn't really his thing. So he said, you know, thank you, you're so kind. I appreciate your generosity, but I'm going to keep going. Bye. And so Chocolate Lab with that big, wet, sloppy tongue, on and on and on and on and on through the woods until Chocolate Lab came upon Mama Wolf. Mama Wolf standing tall with her wolf pups playing around her. And she said, Chocolate Lab, what is a domesticated dog like you doing all the way out here in the woods, in the wilds? And Chocolate Lab was beginning to feel a little silly. He's like, yeah, well, I'm looking for something. You know, I had this dream that maybe I could go find the wild thing that was missing from my life. And so I came into the woods. And she said, I think I understand what you're talking about. She said, why don't you come spend a little time with me and my pups? I think we can help you to find that wild thing that you're looking for. And so, you know, just that very week, she was teaching her pups how to make tracks all over the land. Because before we humans came along and built all those roads, 80 and 94, all the turnpike, all those roads with all that black top on it, and lines painted. The wolves were the first ones. They were the road builders, the track makers. And so she taught Chocolate Lab how to do it along with teaching her wolf pups. And you know, he was good. Chocolate Lab was good. She was impressed. She said, Chocolate Lab, you stay with me. You can stay with me and my pups. I think we can teach you another thing or two. And you know, the week after that, which she was teaching her pups to do and taught Chocolate Lab as well, she was teaching them how to howl. So we're going to try it right now. She taught. Got to start like that. Just. And Chocolate Lab joined in. And joined in, and oh my goodness, it was as if he were full wolf. He was amazing. He could howl as well as her pups and even better. And she said, you are to stay with us. I think you are my long lost child. And so that's what he did. And you know, sometimes when I go out in the woods and go for a hike, sometimes I come upon an animal that I'm not sure if it's a coyote or a wolf. They say there aren't wolves around here. I think there are. But you know, I've seen not just around here, but other places. There are gray wolves, there are timber wolves, a whole bunch of different kinds of wolves. And you know, now, thanks to that mama wolf welcoming Chocolate Lab, there's a new kind of wolf out there, chocolate wolf. So if ever you're out in the woods and you see a chocolatey brown creature, you're not sure, is it wolf or dog? It might just be our chocolate wolf from this story. Thank you. Well, my friends, it's almost time for us to take our leave of each other. We've traveled a little bit. We traveled down to Haiti. Then we traveled up across the ocean to the northeastern Europe. We didn't get much farther than that, did we? And then we came back home to northeastern United States, where we learned about Chocolate Lab and Chocolate Wolf, becoming Chocolate Wolf. And so I think it's about time for me to say goodbye to you. But before I do, because I don't know what the status is at your library, are you able to borrow books right now? Well, if you are able to borrow books, or if you happen to have some still at home from before everything shut down.
We do have curbside assistance.
What's that?
We do have curbside, so they can certainly schedule to pick up books that are on our shelves.
Excellent. Well, that's wonderful. That's what we're doing here. Some are opening a little bit with maybe limited appointments, which seems kind of funny, right? But at least we can get our books then, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I love books. Library books in particular. Well, so if you have library books at home for a long time, you might start to feel like they're yours. Sometimes we forget in our house, like, ooh, that one was a library book. Our library is so tiny. Not all our books are so well labeled as being from the library, so it's easy. It's an honest mistake for us. It doesn't have any marking on the outside. And so, you're stuck at home, not able to go do things like go to the beach or something like that. You might instead figure, I'm gonna go take a bath. Gotta get in water, I'll take a bath. In case you get inspired to do that, and you have library books at home, I'm gonna ask you to just be mindful of one thing. So I like to think of this as a little public service announcement. You can splish, you can splash, you can scrub, you can laugh, you can play rub-a-dub. But whatever you do, I must always ask you, no library books in the bathtub. No library books in the bathtub. I send that out to you, Angela, and your colleagues there at the library. Thank you all very much for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed this program. I hope you get outside. It's a beautiful day where I am. Beautiful day to go sit in the shade of a tree in your yard. Or, if you don't have much of a yard, even if you just have a window in an apartment building, you can plant some seeds in a little pot and gaze out the window and welcome the nature and enjoy. Thank you so much.